What's going on, guys? This is Kaisho. Welcome back. So we are back with another video. So in this video we're going to cover OCG Metagame Report and Tech Reviews from the past week. We do have November 23 to December 1. So a week-long span of tournament data gathering from minor regions in Asia, in Southeast Asian regions, namely Philippines, Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, Vietnam, Singapore. And we are going to cover Post-Terminal World 2, and we're going to cover the impact of that set in the OCG before we venture on the final phase of the October format this December. So without further much ado, let's start. So moving on first, we do have Iloilo Yu-Gi-Oh! Official Tambayan Tournament. Shoutouts to our friends in Visayas, particularly in Iloilo. So we do have the tournament of Yu-Gi-Oh! Tambayan. We do have Anthony Genric Apelado as the champion of the tournament. So he used Primate Blue Eyes. So he's been known for playing Blue Eyes for quite some time already. We have a deck profile of him in our channel on the early release of Blue Eyes structure deck. And he went with Primate. It is the obvious better choice to play rather than just the pure raw version. The Primate offers a lot of ground grind game and also potential to interrupt the opponent on this engine. And you get so much upsides for this engine. The only downside would be trimming your hand trap count on this deck. You're like going to lose a lot of space for hand traps, but it is still very productive. And next would be Ryzil, 42 card, quite extensive, from Spencer Jones Go. So main deck the copy of Judgment and Forbidden Droplet. Wow. 2 Foals only on the main deck and double 7 Tachyon. So I'm not sure if he is on budget mode or he just really went for 2 Tachyon only. But yeah, it is pretty much understandable. And moving on next, we do have any member Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelist Tournament in Indonesia. First would be Azamina Crystron. Wow. Most often than not, we always see Crystron as a pure deck. But sometimes people are trying to mix in engines here, like Primite for example, or Azamina Sinful Spoils. So they're trying to improve the going first of this deck in the replacement of other slots, and you're going to be able to end on probably 2 to 3 negates on your field, and that is massive. Once you set up those kind of board and you go first, it's pretty much game over. Next would be Mermail Atlantean, very hot deck in the OCG region right now, particularly in Japan. I have seen a lot of water tops the previous 2 weeks, and it is very evident because it is getting better, and people are now acknowledging that even though you don't really play around Flawless or Maxi too much, you're still going to be able to win games, especially if your deck is this strong, has a lot of explosiveness, and also very consistent combo line of play. Next would be third place, Finsmith Live Twin. So technically, you just buy 3 Tactical Try and buy the Finsmith, and you're pretty much good to go on this deck. The upside of Live Twin would be the spacious main deck that it offers. Uh, Aside from the usual hand traps of Live Twin, and also you're able to play the Dagda combo of sight. But on this build, the pilot is not even abusing the Dagda, but Dagda is more prominent on most Light Twin builds recently. And yeah, moving on, we do have Yu-Gi-Oh! Talangong Yuto tournament in Indonesia. First would be another live twin this time. So technically, the live twin could be a tier 4 meta deck in the Southeast Asian regions. Just how good the deck can be, and also people are loving the live twins because of the tactical try, which is very affordable, and you just technically play a lot of engines on this deck with Sprite, with Finsmith, and like this, it is playing a small runic engine, no? So very flexible, very malleable. You're able to innovate the deck depending on your playstyle. And next would be runner up, would be Fluandries. It plays Fear Mode on the side deck, and also Dark Simorg. Wow, this could be really interesting against back row decks. You're able to shut down their whole game, and be able to just basically win the game from that, no? Once you set up the Dark Simorg, they cannot do anything about it. And next would be, wow, Rescue Ace. It's been a while since I've seen Rescue Ace. And this deck have been falling off recently. It was a tier B or high C tier deck on the previous 3 4 weeks. But now it is getting overwhelmed by a lot of decks. Crystron, Mermail, the likes of Chimera, Finsmith, Azamina, even the likes of White Forest, Snake Eyes, yeah, they are just so much better around the Rescue Ace. So it is now falling off, but it's still a respectable deck in my own perspective. It is still very capable. Next would be Rizil with Small World, so budget alternative for the usual 7 Tachyon. You cannot blame them because 7 is just ridiculously expensive. You don't really throw money at those cards and call it a day, no? Not many people have that economical prowess to invest too much money on cardboards. And next would be a card tournament in Indonesia. First would be Adam. Wow, Metal Morphin Smith. It's a new flavor. Yeah, technically you just use the Metal Morph to link climb, potentially, and also make your Apollousa, probably. And just layer interruptions from the Metal Morph, and just do the standard Finsmith line, but you're also able to lock out the opponent with Dagda. That's the concerning issue for this format. People have been abusing the Dagda with Sight. And next would be Nemo, with branded 40, yeah, 40. Different take from the usual branded 60. So you often see branded with 60, but this time it is playing as a mina only with few hand traps. And next would be Tenpai Dragon. First Tenpai Dragon, to be honest, Tenpai Dragon have been falling off drastically. It is a massive fall off. From the previous 3 4 5 weeks already, they have been falling off very dramatically. But in Southeast Asia, it is pretty much different because people have been too much inclined on playing Tenpai Dragon. It's been like their comfort deck for quite some time already, since last year, no? Since January, yeah, probably. So people have been into the deck for quite a year already, and imagine that 11 months going to 12 months, they're playing Tenpai Dragon. So their brain mechanism are probably fixated on hand trapping the opponent, breaking their boards, going second, and just basically sweep the opponent from going second, and just OTK from that, no? Very simplistic, very obvious, and very telegraphic, but still effective. But things are different now. Other decks are so explosive, can be able to set up various interruptions, and Tenpai Dragon's consistency have been rattled from the previous ban list. Next will be Taufik. Earth good stuff, basically. Adamantia. So, Adamantia 40, you're probably going to play Millennium on this type of build if you're not running grass. So, you're going to just use the Millennium to link climb and also create your board or start your place or even extend. And next would be a card tournament once again. It would be Adam. This time he's playing Blue Eyes Primite. So Blue Eyes Primite, very hot deck in the OCG right now. People have underestimated the Blue Eyes Primite for the past 3 4 weeks, but now they are seeing the relevance of this deck once the Japanese people have opted to use the Blue Eyes with Primite. It just basically steamrolled from that. People have been adapting the Japanese strategy, and followed by the Korean players that are very enthusiastic on Blue Eyes. They're now adapting the Primite, so it went towards the Southeast Asian regions, and people are just going to play Blue Eyes with Primite more often than not. And next would be Sky Striker from Adib. So very very Ryan Yu esque Sky Striker. No hand traps that much on the main deck aside from Infinite Impermanence. And on Ryan Yu Sky Striker, he's not playing the other newer Sky Striker Link monsters, but people in OCG differs from that. They're playing the Camellia and also the other Link monsters of Sky Striker. And yeah, it's basically Tenpai Dragon 2.0, it is just a lesser uh, potent OTK deck, unlike the Tenpai Dragon, but it offers a lot of toolbox from the Widow Anchor, from the Shark Cannon, Linkage, Afterburners. All of those are technically toolbox cards that you're able to grind out games, close out games, and potentially control the match as well, even going second. Next would be Millennium Exodia. So yeah, it played Dogwood. People in Indonesia have been playing Millennium with Dogwood on the main deck. Probably because you are going to lose a lot of life points from this archetype. So they're uh, compensating for the loss of their life points for Dogwood. And Dogwood just be able to win games on time is massive. Once you just go into game 3 and throw Dogwood at your opponent, for example, Snake Eyes, no? They're going to be rattled very hard from the Dogwood. And next would be Taufik. Sharks? Yeah, Shark. Baby Shark, yeah. Perfectly said. So, Shark rank 4 deck, but it is not the best rank 4 deck right now. Ryzil is just way too powerful. But Sharks, of course, still has their own allure or charisma. They're able to set up a very powerful rank 4 toolbox extra deck line of play and be able to end on the usual Kraken, for example, Utopic, and even Dweller, no? Those are massive. And once you set up Dweller against the top decks, they are probably going to struggle a little bit. And moving on next, we do have Yu-Gi-Oh! Davao Mindanao Gaming tournament. We do have Voices Voice from Pizarro. So he's been playing Voices Voice for almost a year or more than a year already. And he went with double Linkuribu. Maybe he has ways to use the second Linkuribu. It is very uncanny, but it worked for him. And next would be Arnel, Remedios Branded Desvia once again, 40 card. But this time it is playing Gimmick Puppet on the main deck to just FTK the opponent and win the game from that. And oh my goodness, playing Jinzo on side deck is massive. Wow. And even Zombie World. Oh my goodness, this is crazy. Yeah, this is really getting out of hand. Third place would be Clarky Maturan, Tenpai Dragon. Very useful deck in Southeast Asian regions. People will not give up on Tenpai Dragon in Southeast Asia. No matter what happens, they are going to play Tenpai Dragon. I think that's the boldest claim that I have said this December, but yeah, it's probably going to happen in Southeast Asia. And next would be Oasis Yu-Gi-Oh! Tournament in Indonesia. First would be Ridwan, Ryzil, Small World, and no 7 Tachyon on the main deck. Played Herald of the Beast on the side deck. Oh my goodness. Crazy tech card. Those are really situational but can be really demolishing against the proper matchup. And next would be Izul, Far King, Snake Eyes Azamina. This has been the second most played Snake Eyes version after the White Forest, but it still has its own charm, no? Considering that Far King with Island, Ponix, and your standard Arvata plays are just so resilient. You can break from these cards, but once you're able to bring out those cards on your field, you have a very tremendous, tenacious board. And next would be Purely in 2024 with Mask of Restrict. Oh my goodness. Mask of Restrict on side deck. Ridiculous. Yeah, this is really crazy. Mask of Restrict on side deck. I wonder if he is trying to protect his Nor from Kaijus, for example, no? It's just crazy. Next would be Necros, of course. A new deck that got supported. And people are playing Dogmatica Engine with Maximus and just dump Garura. And you basically get plus 3 from that. So it's massive for the Necros. And next would be KGS Card Shop Tournament. Would be Novel. Wow. Another ritual deck. But this time Novel with Dogmatica. Yeah, with Dogmatica it is playing Nadir. And also the Dogmatica Ritual. It can deplete your extra deck, no? So just the Novel and Dogmatica are able to do so much damage on your opponent, and they basically deplete their own resources from this build. And moving on next would be Evo Community Tournament. First would be Malice. Our first Malice in our report. It is pretty much understandable. People in Southeast Asia will be hesitant on buying Malice, especially Ryzel is cheaper than Malice to some degree. And why would you go for Malice, the second or arguably third deck, best deck, uh, aside from the Ryzel, no? So you would just basically go with Ryzel and just play the best deck. And next would be Dino without the Jurak. So this is the old version of Dino, and even playing Lost World and also Xenoground. And next would be, what even is this? What the freak is this? Oh, Gladiator Beast. Yeah, Gladiator Beast. I'm really shocked to see Gladiator Beast in advanced format. Before, in Japan and Korea, people are playing Gladiator Beast with Tri Brigade, but it didn't really materialize in the actual results after the release of the Gladbeast cards. And I wonder why. I'm not really sure about that. I do believe that this deck is strong on a certain degree, but I believe it's not enough against this ridiculous powerful meta. And next would be, oh, we do have Kediri Yu-Gi-Oh tournament. Would be Runic, Gen Raider, very pesky deck. I always lose words for explaining for this deck, but it's just so messy and very infuriating to play against. And technically, if this deck can set up their whole Generator pile with Fountain, you're just going to lose. Yeah, that's the harshest part for this deck. You just go uh, unanswered and you just steamroll everyone. And next would be Punk Goblin Pride 60 cards. So I thought I recall some people are trying to find punk decks on my reports recently. So now you have seen a punk, but it's basically more of a good stuff with Goblin Biker and the Gold Pride. So 60 card pile, and oh my goodness, it is playing Jogen, no? So you're able to stun the opponent with Jogen, possibly, because you're playing Cherubini, so you're able to do that. Crazy. This is crazy. Yeah, this is nasty. And third would be Mementotlan. Yeah, standard. And fourth place would be Taufik with Centurion White Forest. And Azamina as well. Wow. Bunch of engines. 45 card. Quite fitting for a 3 engine deck. And next would be Dueling ITS Foreign Language Society Tournament. Would be Salam Melodious. So very good mid-range deck. I do believe that this deck is good on its own regard because you're able to just throw different hand traps no matter the format shapes. You can play draw, you can play follows, even play talent, even play trust, and you can go also control cards on the main deck, the Black Hutlaf, Solemn Strike, Solemn Judgment, no? So very flexible deck and very congruent depending on the situation. And next would be Nico Arcana Force. Oh my goodness. Arcana Force with Time Tearing Morganite. And one of Upstart. Oh my goodness. What the freak? Arcana Force. Oh my goodness. What in 5Ds is this? Total abomination from Nico. Next would be Azrael. Ryzel, yeah, basically played more appropriate cards. One of Droll, one of Lancea. Probably just situational hand traps because he just tried to complete his 40 card deck. He didn't want to play talent on it. Yeah, no talent. So he just wants to trade card for card. And next would be Sky Striker Mech Knight. Oh my goodness. Mech Knight. I am not really expecting this. I am going to see Mech Knight at the twilight of 2024. Imagine that. This is crazy, ridiculous, ridiculous. And you're able to play Justicar, Ivy, and World Callis cards just because you're playing Mech Knight cards. So yeah, it could work going second. Of course, this is really strong. And next, we do have Time Walk tournament. First would be Ryzel. Yeah, standard. Very standard. Just play double droplet. And next would be Blue Eyes. No Primite. Yeah, pure Blue Eyes. I guess he just wants to play Blue Eyes with more hand traps. Next would be Ryzel with Spawn World. Budget alternative. And also played Triple Evenly Match. Next would be Chimera. Yeah, Chimera Horus. With Azamina. So he fit in those engines. So he's not even running. Yeah, he still plays Imperm. Wow. It fit in. And Azamina and Horus kinda overshadows each other, but when it works, you have so much gas and you're able to break anything on this format once you draw the correct cards. And moving on, we do have Yu-Gi-Oh! Metagame Malang Tournament. First would be Tenpai Dragon, champion, with Octopus cards on the main deck with Purulia and Wallace, no? And Nyalos. And next would be Yubel. First Yubel in our report. On the previous week, people are pivoting towards Yubel, but it is more of a fiend link rather than just the pure Yubel. So with Yubel, you're still be able to play decently, but it's not the same. Yeah, it's not even half the same as before. And next would be third place, Ice Barrier. So Ice Barrier with double Impulse on the main deck and one Gamma Seal and a small uh, Ice Barrier, Ice Jade engine on the main deck. And next would be Voices Voice with Magnamut on the main deck and also played Angel Statue of Azurun. So you want to play the top hot and basically link climb from that and could come up on mid game to late game scenarios as well. So yeah, really ingenious type of deck building for Voices Voice from Rizgi. And moving on, we do have Dueling Nexus Tournament. We do have Yushuan, champion of the tournament with White Forest, Azamina. So this is like a tier D, tier C, high tier C deck right now, and people are trying to pivot towards the White Forest raw version rather than just the Snake Eyes version. So it could be the best way to play White Forest right now. I'm not really sure. Still going to calibrate the games that I have saw on the format right now, but yeah, it is very promising and it is still going to get support from the following sets. Next would be Yan Hao with Manadium with a bunch of hand traps, no? He managed to play Droll and Nibiru and one of Falls and two wheeler on the main deck despite being so stuffed with Manadium and Visas cards. And next would be Chino, Trap Tricks. So the usual trend in Japanese regions are the trust into Blackout Labs. But I believe he missed out on this inclusion of trust. He could probably play Black Goat on this build and it would be more better and can be really powerful against the top 4 best decks out there or top 3. So yeah, really solid the Blackout Labs. Next would be Chankiet with Horus Centurion. Yeah. So basically we have saw Centurion with bunch of versions, no? No pure as of yet. And moving on next, we do have Aurorus Collections Tournament. Champion would be Mads, Sir Mads. So he's one of the first people who have introduced the game for me from Yu-Gi-Oh! NCR community. So shoutouts to you, Sir Mads. So he's still playing Heroes. In 2021, he is already playing Heroes and he never gave up on the deck and the deck got supported. And just look at this max rarity Heroes and just trying to demolish everyone on his path with the new support from the Suda. And next would be Ken with Blue Eyes Primite. So Primite Blue Eyes, technically it could be a top 5 deck. In my books, it is top 5 right now, probably even higher than top 4, probably. Just lower, just are slowly uh, lower than Mementotlan in my own books. Third place would be, what is this? Dark Dark Magician? Oh my goodness. Dark Magician. Yeah, Dark Magician. Wow, this is crazy. He managed to top with Dark Magician. He really managed to top with Dark Magician, but he played Sinful Spoils on it. And no Azamina. Yeah, no Azamina. He just played the Witch and the Silvera to just basically set up a form of negation. And moving on next, we do have Rogue's Passage tournament. Champion would be Ryzil from Ronil. So played triple droplet and still played the Sharks engine on it. And next would be John Marvin Quindoza, Tenpai Dragon once again with triple Lightning Storm on the main deck. Also played the Koikimeru Drago as well. Very interesting choice. It could work. Yeah, it could work because of the shape of the metagame in the Philippines. Bunch of voiceless voice, Yubel, and other stuff like Malice, no? So it could work. And next would be Yu-Gi-Oh! Manado community in Indonesia, I believe. So we do have champion Madolche from uh, Ryan, I believe. So 43 card, quite extensive for Madolche, but he managed to fit in with Vernosil cards on it. And next would be Snake Eyes, good stuff. So it played White Forest and Magicians on the main deck, and he still managed to play triple draw, no? So he really want to play 43 card, even though you can't play it at 40. And next would be Unchained from Kenny. So triple draw as well, very self-explanatory. Draw is just so massive in Southeast Asian regions. I just believe that draw is a mainstay for quite some time already in Southeast Asian regions. It has been a very impactful hand trap. No matter what happens, people are still going to play decks that adds 4 card advantages. So you might as well just slap the draw on your main deck. Next would be Henry, branded SPS 60, the usual branded with the Grass and Trust. And moving on next, we do have Order of the Duelist and Albay tournament. Shoutouts to our Albay friends. So they have been struggling with tons of typhoons recently. They have been hit with like 5 typhoons already. So I'm really thankful that they are still playing their hearts out for these tournaments. So that's just how resilient they are, no, and it shows how much they love the game. No matter what happens, even the world would collapse and would be ending, they're still going to play the game that we love, which is Yu-Gi-Oh! So massive shoutouts for them. Shoutouts to our Bicol friends and also in Catanduanes, no? So we do have Angela James Argos as the champion. It is like the better amazement. Yeah, Konami really tried to make the better amazement archetype because they have failed on amazement last 2020. So they are compromising from the previous failure and they're trying to make a modern version of it. Next would be Mark Stephen Rizil. So Rizil, of course, with Small World and didn't play 7 Takyun. Yeah. And yeah, but it has Zodiac. Wow. It has Zodiac on the main deck. I have noticed it late. Yeah, it is playing Ratir and Ram Ram with Barrage. Wow. Crazy stuff from Mark Stephen. And next would be Junpei Seryu. Luna Light. Oh my goodness. Luna Light. What the freak? Luna Light in almost 2025 with Armageddon Knight and Horus. Oh my goodness. I'm not really sure if this deck has FTK. Correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, Luna Light. Oh my goodness. Obnoxious. Yeah, that's the best word to describe this. Really obnoxious. And next would be Richard Memetotlan. Pretty standard. Yeah, pretty standard build from Richard. And moving on next, we do have another tournament from Order, the Duelist and Albay. So, do have uh, Jomar as the manager of their locals. We do have Whitewoods as a Mina with Toybox Engine as well, no? So, people are still calibrating whether they would want to play Toybox or not. But some people do. But some people doesn't really fancy playing it right now. Next would be Mel, Voices Voice. I have met him on the Yu-Gi-Oh! Asia 3 on 3 tournament and their team was our last round and he defeated me on Voices Voice. I am playing Eldritch on that tournament, and he's a really nice guy, and he have uh, known me for my voice because he told me that my voice sounds familiar for him. So yeah, he figured out that I am Kaijiro. So I'm really enticed to meet him in person, and I really admire this person for playing Voices Voice so religiously. And next would be Mish Drytron, another ritual deck. But yeah, it is playing Super Poly on the main deck. Wow. So yeah, Super Poly, you still have room for a Dragon and Garura for this deck, no? And next would be Mark Patrick Burton with Tenpai Dragon. Triple Droplet, Triple Ghost Ogre. Wow. Quite bold. You're playing 3 Ogre on this Tenpai, but it could work because their locals have Voices Voice in White Forest. And even Tenpai Dragons, of course, they do have a lot of Tenpai Dragon. We all do in the Philippines, no? So the Ghost Ogre could really make a lot of sense here. And yeah, that sums up our OCG Metagame Report and deck list reviews from the past week from November 23 to December 1. So if you found this video informative and helpful, please consider subscribing. It definitely motivates me a lot to keep providing this content for you guys. So once again, thank you for watching. See you on the next one. Peace.